Hey, we're live. Welcome to Season 8, Episode number 2 of the Musty Wargamer Show. And we have our special permanent guest on. We have the Broken Dice, Tim.
Permanent guest.
Permanent guest.
Permanent guest. That means I'm on some pretty.
We invited him once and they never
We
left.
replaced it anytime, Tim.
Yes.
Just remember, you're always a guest, but always a guest.
Yes, but awful. Can we find somebody more appealing?
Could happen.
Well, how's everybody doing? Long time no see.
Yeah, doing pretty
Yeah,
good.
for me especially.
I see Tim has this hole in his head. It's showing the tower behind him.
Oh yeah.
Well, that hole keeps getting bigger the older I get. It doesn't close together like you did as a child. It just gets bigger.
Yeah, we're supposed to fill it with knowledge, but well, that ship has sailed, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
pretty much.
Pretty much.
So, what's everybody been up to in the grand scheme of things? I know what Dan's gonna say.
Yeah. Just lots of harvest. But I did get that wrapped up, and actually for a couple evenings now I finally got back down doing some painting.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at winter will be a very productive time because my other hobby, I don't have a heated space outside to really work on that. So that'll be a little bit more on the back burner. So I'll be back snuggled in the basement working on stuff again. So that's exciting.
Carrying the whole tractor engine downstairs on one shoulder like Superman.
Yeah. Well, I've got a tractor radiator down here and a head for one and yeah, a bunch of stuff, but not enough to keep me busy through the winter. So
yeah.
So I'm back to working on my Stuka.
Dan is working on terrain.
The very last piece for my Stalingrad table, and then I am moving back to miniatures.
Yeah.
I swear it.
I was going to ask.
What sort of miniatures you're going back to? Are you going to do AWI or?
Well, that's a good question.
ABC, DC.
Yes. Well,
yes, all the above.
Yes, all the above. Well, I do have a 28-man regiment of British regulars. It's that box set I got from Palmer years ago from the Perrys, the plastic.
Yeah.
All glued together and put on their bases and primed. So I could do those, or I might add to my Bretonians, or add to some bolt action because the new edition came out, so it changes a couple things.
We should do a discussion on the next show if you're around on the new edition.
Yeah, I'll be around now, other than some freak deal.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, and hopefully by then I've gotten a game in. I know Mark, the guy that lives just 20 minutes from me, he's got the rules too, and he does a bunch of fall hunting, so that ties him up a little bit. But once
it's like October is duck season.
Yeah, he does a lot of duck hunting and that kind of thing. So
and pheasant season's going on now. So
yeah. So anyway, so I might add a few things to that, and I have been following that as much as I can as far as what the buzz is and what the rules changes are meaning to people that are starting to get games in and stuff. But and I've even toyed with messing with my 15 millimeter ACW. So those are the top of my list that interests me. But I figure I'm just going to wait until I'm to that point, and whatever grabs my fancy is probably what I'll take off on, and that'll kind of be my winter focus. So
yeah.
I got kind of inspired after we played the old world, so I kind of would like to, add some stuff to my Bretonians, because obviously it's already a playable force, and then I can always pop over to Rusty's and he's got
throw something together.
Yeah, because you've got all kinds of different armies, so it'd be fun to really kind of investigate the game a little bit more than the couple games that we've got in so far. But that was super fun, and it's a game that I think there's a lot. You could play that game a long time, especially as I don't have any Warhammer Fantasy experience from past editions, but I could see like just figure not only just tactics but list building, and what magic items to put, unit sizes, ranks, number of ranks, all that's you could play a long time with just one army, and and not get bored with that. So
that's the way it used to be. Yeah, you could. We talk about a rabbit hole, right, Rusty? You go down with army lists and tactics, and I first started off like everybody. I started getting, this big powerful unit, this big unit of knights, and this big thing, and that big thing. And then I got to the point where I kind of got bored with that. Then I started deciding to play like I wanted to see how good I could do taking the worst things that an army had to offer. Like at one time, my Empire army was nothing but Empire spearmen and swordsmen, and I had them I had like 10 or 12 blocks of 20, and just I was like, I don't think you've got enough bullets to kill everything I've got on the table. And then I really got crazy. I started doing that with Skaven. And Skaven were fun because you just hordes and hordes of rats, and
it's like taking on a goblin army. You just don't have enough guys to kill.
Yeah, and even that you've got. Well, am I going to bring them in tons and tons of small units, or am I going to just amalgamate them into like 3 or 4 just huge blocks and do your best? Go ahead and chop through that if you want to, which works better with like undead because they never break, but that sort of thing. But
the other cool thing about the Skaven, it had all the wonderful little cool toys too.
Oh yeah. You have your assassins you could put in there. You had your fanatics you could throw out and stuff, and
you had the fire teams that would go next to them with the poison gobblers. You had the little mortar guys. You had the
I used to the rattling guns. I used to love the rattling gun because every once in a while you just spin around and shoot your own guys and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always cool.
Oh yeah, I used to love. My favorite unit in the entire army were my plague sensor bearers. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they were probably the most fun.
How so?
Because they could kill like just about anything, but they could also kill themselves.
Okay.
Because they had on the plague sensor. I think if you missed on a roll of a 1, you killed your own guy or something. I forget what the rule was. Yeah,
the poison wing
gobblediers. Those rows were quirky. I love them guys too. Everything quirky about that was just so much fun. So much fun. Because just as soon as my opponent thought things were going to go bad for me, all of a sudden that stuff would start to work, and and stuff would just hit. They'd just start falling over dead. Just I used to have a big unit of Giselles. Oh yeah.
Which edition are you talking about, Tim?
Oh, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th.
Okay.
I got 8th. I think I played Skaven up through 8.
I gotcha. Yeah. Do you still have them?
No, I sold them off. Okay. I sold them, my undead, and
Beastmen.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
So you just have chaos, right?
I still have my Empire, Ogres, and Chaos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's just say I got enough I can play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Unfortunately, I have too much to play.
No such thing. What?
What is everybody working on tonight? What are you working on, Tim?
I am working on Hypapsis for my successor kingdoms and my Macedonians. Just there they are. The primer I use sucks. So basically, I'm having to do almost 2 coats of everything because this is supposed to be like a flat primer, but it's so shiny. I don't know if you can see that very well. Oh, there we go. It's so shiny and slick that the paint won't hold.
Yeah, it's like a satin.
Yeah.
It's like a satin paint that.
Yeah, but the can says that it's a matte finish.
Yeah. Which one are you using?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold that thought. Let me roll over here. What was it called?
Because I know that I have. I buy some stuff from Walmart sometimes, and it ends up saying it's ultra matte, flat or whatever it is. Like
this is what I would use. That right there. This is Krylon.
Yeah.
And it says that it's matte, but it's so shiny and slick.
Yeah, it's like a satin. It's so.
That all-in-one, is that a painted primer?
Yeah, it's paint and primer all in one. And I thought, okay, so with them having like white tunics and stuff, I put that down and just do the trim colors on it. But there's just no way. I'm going to have to go over it with a white paint on the white parts.
You might want to just. I found sometimes with those, just put a wash on it, a base of wash. And then the paint will adhere to it.
Yeah, that's good thinking.
Yeah, I probably should have done that first.
I'm not big into those painted primers.
Do what?
I'm not big into those painted primers. Like Army Painter has them too. Like like those. They're just a lot thicker, I find, because they're kind of like a first layer of paint and a prime.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying yours is the one you have there, but in general, I've not had great success. For me personally, I go with the cheapest automotive primer. I found the best for me. Like it's like a really thin primers. Really cheap stuff is usually what I get. I'm using one right now. This is an automotive primer, actually. Hang on. This I don't know. This is in Canada, but let me just put this up to here. Duplicolor.
Duplicolor.
Yeah.
We have Duplicolor.
We get that from Walmart.
Yeah, I use the cheapest stuff and do a light prime. All I want it to do is adhere. And there's another brand that I would get from Canadian Tire here, and I like it too. I think it's called Armor Clad. But that's personally what I like to do. I actually spend a little more on my spray finishes than I do on my spray primers, but that's just
now I've used the Army Painter stuff, but normally like with the Army Painters, what I like to do is like I'll use mostly like a leather brown, like especially like with historicals or primitives and that kind of stuff where you've got a lot of leather and different shades of brown you're going to use. That helps speed up the process quite a bit.
Sure.
But I do agree with you, Palmer, that they can be a little bit thick, and you got to be judicious when you're spraying that, because I have it at times got a little heavy-handed with the primer.
Yeah,
and you'll be amazed at how quickly it will cover the detail up.
Oh yeah.
Quickly, because it'll be so thick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I agree. Likes different stuff. It's just
I mean, I agree with you. There can be quite a problem with it if you're not careful. So I try to do it in like real light coats, like right at that between 12 and 15 inches away, where it's just I kind of group the models together, but I keep it back far enough to where I don't get a heavy
soaking
layer of color all at once, and just let it kind of like rain down on it, as opposed to forcing it onto the miniature. You get what you understand what I'm saying? Like you just want it to, yeah. And because I found that, because I have done that where I've sprayed that and it just it's like, oh God, I've just got to ruin this one. I strip them and start over. When you're using army painter paint, you make a big blunder like that. That after a while that can cost you some dollars. So that's another, I like Palmer's idea. I've used that cheaper primer before too to spray with, especially terrain and stuff that you're building. Makes a big difference.
I found that the Doopy color that you have there, Palmer, is like ultra flat. Works really nice.
Yeah. To be honest, it's the first time I used that one because they didn't have the armor clad that I normally like. So, and I went over to the automotive section from the paint section. The armor clad, for whatever reason, Canadian Tire keeps in the paint section, but then this is in the automotive section. And I used to get stuff from the automotive section at Walmart too. And like, I get a couple different brands over the years that are cheap stuff for that. And I find it works great. Like all I want is something just to really, really thin, just to get it to adhere, right? Like nothing major, right? And so, but
yeah, the stuff now that we can only get like satin or gloss now of that product. You can't get the matte anymore.
Which one?
The one you're using.
Oh, the Duplicolor.
Yeah.
Well,
so now I got to switch over to like Krylon and what's the other brand there? But
Sid, how do you know which one it is?
Rust-Oleum.
Whether it's matte
Rust-Oleum,
or gloss. How do you know on
the
this?
cap? Well, you should tell you on the outside of the can, and then the cap tells you also.
Well, I know from my other stuff, it does.
Because if it has a semi-glossy cap or a really glossy cap, that will tell you what's inside.
Well, this one is fairly flat.
Yeah, that one looks like that's the flat. So it's really nice stuff.
Yeah, I like it.
And it doesn't seem to clump or anything. It just, I used that because it was nice. It wasn't all that expensive compared to like the Rust-Oleum or the Krylon.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could just talk a little bit about what I'm doing really quick. I finished. I haven't been painting much, like I hate to admit it, but I finished those those snotlings from last week with 3 stands.
Yeah,
and so I finished these guys, so 3 stands of these. So I have the other 2 over here. And then I also have a bolt gun that I finished. And now what I'm working on, and I've got some good progress, is I'm working on another 3 stands of snotlings. So I'll have 6 stands. I've got crew for both the bolt gun and also a Doom Diver that I'm working on.
That's the new Doom Diver.
Yeah, still metal, but yeah, not the old one. And I've got I've got the crew for this and the bolt gun, and that includes the other Doom Diver that roams on the plastic thing, which I can't really figure out how you're really supposed to use him because he doesn't roam much, right? Like there is no waiting time.
You fire it and it hits.
That's exactly right. So I'm not sure why they sell that, but I'm going to paint him anyway. And I have the crew for both sets. So I've got basically 3 stands of snotlings, 1 more War Machine, and 2 sets of crew, another 6 miniatures that I'm kind of working on right now. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. As far as gaming goes, I haven't gamed much since our last show, but I do have a game on Saturday. I am playing a game of Old World. I don't know whether I'm going against. It's sort of a newer opponent for me. I played against him once. I don't know whether I'm going against orcs and goblins or whether I'm going against wood elves because he has multiple armies. The thing is because we're doing 2,000 points. I've been playing with my orcs and goblins now, but I've been playing 1,500 point games. I think I'm just going to go back and play some Beastmen at 2,000. just because I'm not quite there yet where I want to be. Like I think I just want to finish painting this stuff, and then I'm close to being where I want to comfortably move things around and play 2000.
Yeah.
Cool.
Might as well just mix it all in. I'm not sure if we're doing everything separate, but my Musty drink, I've already got my my Stella Artois poured to start with. Let me get up here. There we go. Stella Artois right from the bar. Just grabbed it right from the bar, and then I've got for later when after we've had enough BattleTech discussion that's depleted this Stella Artois. I have got Lismore. This one, you know this one, Rusty, right? Like I probably had this one on the show too.
Yeah,
in the past.
a long time ago.
Yeah, so I have, and this one's kind of getting low. Like I have, a drink or two left in this, and I pulled this one out to have sip on as a musty drink after. Yeah, cool. So that's kind of me. Right. In a nutshell.
You guys have alcohol. I have caffeine.
You need to do what the kids do and mix them together. You could have your caffeine alcohol drink, whatever it is. What do they have? Do they take those energy drinks and
yeah?
What
is that?
Those got alcoholic energy drink.
Oh my god! I forget what they call it. I don't want my heart to explode on camera. You'll
be doing the rave dancing in front of Isengard or Mordor.
It'd be like watching the alien burst out of his chest in the Aliens movie.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, just not to delay the discussion, but has everybody here seen the latest Alien movie that came out?
No,
or nobody did.
It came out during the fair, so I hadn't been able to.
Okay, none of you guys did? Okay,
No.
I was just curious.
I have
I kind of liked it. I actually kind of liked it. I'm waiting for it to come out on DVD to put in the collection. So
cool.
Yeah, it's like movies that come out in August, I usually don't get to see because
of that time.
Yeah, it's like
wrong
time of year.
Well, there'll be plenty of time to watch it on streaming too. But one thing I didn't put in my little update is I'm looking at doing a unit of French Indian War just to break things up a bit because I've been painting. Yeah. I still want to paint fantasy. Like I'm totally into Old World, and like I've got Chaos Demons I want to paint. I've got more Orcs and Goblins and even Beastmen stuff to trickle in. But I kind of feel like a little nostalgic for the time that I was both playing French Indian War and painting, and so I'm looking at doing hopefully some sharp practice too, and painting a unit of. I'm thinking maybe Grenadiers, or is it Grenadiers? I always get
Grenadiers.
Grenadiers. I got it right. Okay, I'm looking at painting some Grenadiers, maybe British to get back in the swing of things with my British red style of painting.
Cool.
And so I'm looking at doing that, a unit of those, and then like with the respective flags and all the other stuff, and get it kind of the rust off of my historical painting of that period. It's been a long time since I painted it.
Yeah, I'd say if you started doing that, or Dan started painting some of AWI, I'd have my Queen's Rangers that need to be worked on. So
nice.
Yeah.
Then after I get those painted, then it's going to be, I'll actually move on to the Colonials. So,
you guys ever order stuff from Warlord Games?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day.
Well, I order from them quite a bit because they got the ECW stuff that I like, and I got a lot of Empress miniatures in it too. But when you make a big enough order, they send you like a free sprue of stuff.
Yeah.
I have got so much bolt action stuff. I've got Alpine troops. I've got Fallschirm Jaegers. I've got
nice.
I've got Airborne.
Wow.
Yeah. And what's funny, the very first one I got was AWI, American War of Independence.
Nice.
Yeah.
When I first started watching Dan's stuff when Dan was doing it. I was like,
so you're gonna paint some?
I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta make room. If you do that, you'll have to make room.
I know. It's like I've always liked I like the like your French and Indian War stuff. That fascinates me too, because I love that whole idea of you just have everybody. Everything could be in that. You know, you
Yeah.
got the native
Yep.
troops, you got the French, you got the British, you got
You can even
colonial.
move into 7-Year War if you want. Like you can even go to the other continent and bring your British and just paint something else. Like
And that was
Yes.
my original thought, was do the 7 Years War, and
which
then
is cool.
your stuff with the French and Indian War. Oh yeah, that was the same time period and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh
Well,
yeah, so many choices. That's just
bigger battles, right, for the 7 Years War. But the thing is that with the French and Indian War, if you like the skirmish in the woods with the First Nations stuff, like in the native stuff, then that's kind of fun. But so getting back to your point though about Warlord, so I started, and I have good memories of starting my French Indian War with the Warlord miniatures because I still have them and I really like them. I settled in my collection to eventually strictly go with like the Minden miniatures.
I remember that. Yeah,
Grantera too, which are kind of were done by the same sculptor. And because I went that way, I kind of just stuck with that. But when I was ordering Warlord stuff, I found them to be an excellent company. And if they ever made a mistake, they almost made me want them to make a mistake, because whenever they made a mistake, they made up for it by not only sending me what I was supposed to get, but other stuff too. And usually, like you said, if I bought a bunch of stuff with them, sometimes they would throw in a blister, and they usually threw in a blister of stuff that I was interested in. So like when I was collecting the Delaware natives for French Indian War, they had multiple packs, like pack A, pack B, things like that. I would buy pack A, I would buy a box set of like British, and I would buy something else, and it was all French Indian War stuff. They would throw in like pack B of the Delawares just for free. And so that's, to me, awesome. Like I've never experienced a manufacturer that was as good as them when it came to that. Like they're the best.
Speaking of native troops and gaming, have you ever looked into Mythic Americas?
Mm-hmm. I think they're out of Canada, aren't they?
They sent me. They sent me a box of native warriors, and I remember painting them up. They were metal miniatures. I remember painting them up, and I thought, this is really cool. So I ordered the book, and I was reading through, and I'm telling you, some of the big creatures and monsters that they have were just awesome looking. I thought, man, I've just really wanted to get my hands on those and paint them up, but it's such a niche game.
Yeah,
and you paint up both sides and then try to convince somebody to play it, especially where I'm at, because there's just not much of a scene around where I live. I have to go so far away. I just got one buddy that
Call it a mistake.
Was pretty cool. You know, I
call
didn't
it a
know
mistake or not. But like I've had that situation too, where I got like World of Twilight, and it's sort of a fantasy game, and it's excellent. It's very cool. Like the guy that actually sculpts the miniatures made the rules. Like he did everything. But it's a niche game, like you said. They're wonderful miniatures, and I own them, and I'm happy to own them. And I'll probably continue to paint them again one day, but I don't know that I'll ever really play it much, just because it's not really got a scene. It's the same thing you just described. But Mythic Americas, I almost feel like that's the one that... Isn't that one out of BC, Canada? I almost feel like it is.
I'm not
actually,
sure.
While you're... I might be thinking of another one. Because there is one. I'm pretty sure.
It's a Warlord Games game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Warlord game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always thought, man, that one was pretty cool, the way they did that. And and what caught me was some of those creatures were almost better than the chaos demons and stuff that they're larger ones. I thought, oh my God, they put those to shame. Just and I can't even remember what some of the names of them are because I got my
Mhm.
books are in the other room, or I'd go get it. But it's pretty cool. I mean, I thought that they were awesome, and some of the paint jobs because I followed some of the guys on Facebook on one of their Facebook pages, and some of the guys just do some great stuff with those large miniatures, and I think they're all metal models too, and pretty cool. But it's a game I would collect, but I probably would never play it because trying to get enough for both people to play and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
know
I am
what
the
I can't think of?
worst salesman of anything on the planet. I couldn't sell you gold at half price, probably.
You know,
That's how bad of a salesman I am.
What
I
you
can't
trying to
think
say,
of a
Willis?
I can't think of the game I was trying to think of, but I bet you if it does exist, that Chris, if he's in the room and listening, would know because he's out of BC, he kind of has usually a pretty good knowledge of the various games available, particularly ones that are probably local or more local. But maybe I'm wrong.
All right, Dan, what have you been up to?
Like I said, I guess I missed the last show. Excuse me, because of harvest, but wrapped that up. What 2 weeks ago now, and then all the stuff, farm stuff that I'm getting ready for winter and stuff. But hobby wise, I did get back to painting here. Let's see, what just this week. This may be the third night, and I'm back where I'd left off with my Stuka. So I finally started painting on the model. It's a 1/48 scale Revel,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a crashed piece of terrain, which I've always wanted to do was make a crash piece.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's come along really well. I've got the base kind of figured out. Now I'm trying to just get the model painted, get it decaled, and get it finished. Then I'll just place it on the base that I'm making for it, I guess. And
Yeah.
then I've been starting to debate what I want to start next, and I think I'd already talked about that. But yeah, I'm kind of in the old world mode a little bit from when we got together this summer because that was one of the last gaming things I did before harvest set in, and then well, it was the last thing literally. Launched into harvest like 2 days later, and then. But I'm also the third edition. Third edition of Bolt Action came out during harvest here, and I did order the book, and I flipped through it some.
You mean this book?
Oh yeah, nice work,
Yeah.
good job. Yep. So, and they've changed a few things, which we can do kind of a Bolt Action show sometime, but it does allow you to take potentially duplicates of different weapons teams and things that you couldn't really do before without doing like a dual platoon or something. So
that's
I
cool.
might pick up, like a couple extra mortar team, double up some of the stuff for a few of my armies, and some of them I just enjoyed painting, so I already have doubles of some of the stuff from different manufacturers to keep it so the poses aren't the same, but
I'll save my questions for the show that we do because I already have questions. But I figure I'll save it for then.
Sounds good. But anyway, so I guess those are probably the two things that interest me the most would be adding some more units to my Bretonians. And I guess the other thing is before I got into doing the terrain for the Stalingrad table, I had primed up a group of I guess it is a unit of 24 is what it is actually, but a plastic Perry British, because I was 2 summers ago, that was my focus, and I think I painted up 4 units of British, and this was going to be is this the third? No, I think this was going to be the 4th or 5th. I don't remember, but anyway, so they're all primed and ready to go. So I might do that. And I guess the last thing I'm most tempted by are just because I've always been so intrigued with painting a smaller scale would be my 15
ACW.
millimeter ACW Confederates. I did a test figure a couple a year and a half ago, just to see if I thought I'd like it, and it was pretty fun. So that, and Regimental Fire and Fury is how I base them for that rule set, because that's what also what Rusty does. So
we played Mel and I, we played some of that.
I saw your Facebook post. Yeah.
So we need to get back into it. Mel, he's been busy hunting, so he bought himself a house.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. So we've been sort of not doing anything.
Yeah, and probably for me, the thing to make the most sense would be to add to my Bretonians, because I've got a playable army already, and Rusty's right there, close enough that I could get games in, or my bolt action, because also I've got 3 playable armies already, and Rusty plays bolt action, and then my buddy Mark here lives just 20 minutes or so from me. Is really into bolt action as well. So that'll probably be the 2 things that I could get some, the amount of time I'd have to invest and then get to use stuff right away would be probably what I'd do. We'll see. I'm going to decide when I get there, but this is my last train piece, and I'll call this table done.
Are you going to do like a video about your entire table and kind of give everybody a walkthrough?
Yeah, I really should.
Cool. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool of you to have
I'll have to do that. And I'm sitting right next to the table, and I did right before before we got together for the Old World game, I took all my Normandy stuff off, got it all packed up in totes, and then set up my Stalingrad table, and it's jam-packed 4 by 6 foot table, and then I just threw a bed sheet over it so it wouldn't get covered in dust. And so I really should. I just haven't. I think it's been almost 2 years since I've done a video, which we could go into that on a video sometime, or on a show sometime too. But yeah, I'd like to share it. A video would probably do more justice than pictures. I've taken some pictures, and it doesn't seem like it. Not that it's amazing, but it doesn't feel like it. That's not how it looks in real life,
Yeah.
So, and I'm drinking water in an old used Gatorade bottle.
That's really vodka, but hey,
Yeah, I wish it was vodka, but it's just water.
Oh.
All right, so I'll just start off. I've already been drinking it for a while, but my drink of choice tonight is Jameson.
Nice.
I love it. Good call.
I've been slurping that a little bit. Let's see here. Here we go. Was working on this the last show, but now it's all of that BattleTech stuff I was working on.
Cool.
Nice work.
Your camera is much better this week, Rusty.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I don't know if you did anything.
I don't know. It's like lighting or something. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, no, it's looking crisper.
It is super clear.
So here's the old big Timberwolf Mad Cat. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a big dude.
And I put some 3D printed elementals on there, so add a little bit of dioramic effect for it.
Cool.
That's so big, it looks like it'd be on a 40K table.
Yeah.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
And then here's the rest of it. This is the I printed off these guys plus a base so to go with it. So yeah, if you want to play large scale BattleTech, it's like they already got the start of a couple units. Oh.
Cool.
And I also have this guy right here. It's another Bad Cat. This is the Alpha vert variant so need to work on him, getting painted up. Then I have been working on these guys this week, finally getting around to them.
Yeah, no, those I've been following.
That's my vampire counts. I don't think I put any pictures of them up on the Facebook page.
Oh no, yeah, you just shared it with our
Yeah, just shared some pictures of them, but
the basing really makes them pop. That looks sharp.
yeah,
Well,
it's like before they were kind of blending into the base, all the paint that was on the bottom, but you put some
Yeah.
contrasting color in the bottom, they just kind of pop out
Oh,
there.
it made so much difference.
So,
Yeah.
Cool.
Very old
those are
school.
Black Knights or Blood Knights.
Blood Knights.
Yeah. Cool.
And then I've been working on these guys today. These are the Hex Race.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
They're a little bit
Are
of
those 3D printed? Those aren't Games Workshop.
these are the
right?
actual Games Workshop Hex Knights.
The new ones that are
Yeah.
currently out. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's why
these
I
are the
was
plastic. Yeah, I don't have any of the metal ones.
Gotcha.
You can pick up the plastic Hex Race for nothing, you know, if you wanted to.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Buying metal miniatures now from GW ones are like, well, I'd like to take out a loan to buy a house or some GW miniatures.
Or one unit of GW miniatures.
So that is what I've been working on. I also think about maybe work on this guy. I have a Techless here.
Oh, cool.
Oh, man.
But he's missing one important part.
It's
Right arm.
Sword.
His sword arm is missing. I don't know what happened to it. I was digging through all my stuff and I can't find his arm. So I decided to. Now what's going to happen? I've printed off a 3D printed arm, a Techless. I'm just going to cut his arm off this one.
Oh, sure.
And add it on.
Surgery.
And once I get that all situated and put on there and green stuffed and everything, I'll find the other arm. Guaranteed. That's just the nature of the beast.
Cool. You've been busy.
Yeah.
You're really jumping around though. Like you're gonna do high elves now too.
Oh, I have a high elf arm.
Oh yeah.
So because you have it's already painted.
Parts of it, yeah.
Okay.
I have some Sword Masters of Hoeth.
I remember that. Yeah, now you mentioned it.
Archers.
I didn't realize you were. I guess a lot of your stuff you're not starting from scratch with. You're just adding to.
Yeah, I'm just adding stuff because a lot of my stuff is from the 90s when they first came out and about. So I'm just adding to the stuff I already have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got armies that go way back.
Yeah, I got stuff that goes back to 3rd edition.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Palmer has some 3rd edition stuff too.
Yeah, we've got some old stuff.
Right.
My high elf army is pretty old.
Yeah, let's see. Clark is still. I don't know if Clark is still in the house. Palmer's here. There's the link to what topic we're going to be talking about tonight. Got Chris, and we got Matthew. Howdy ho.
Hey.
And then we have Paul. We got Mel's in the house too. Lies. It's all lies. All right, that's all the comments we have tonight. All right, nice show, guys. Talk to you later.
That's the Reader's Digest condensed version of the show.
Yeah. I really, it's like normally I put out a video before the day before the show, and I just been out of. I was kind of sick, like same problem you've been having, Tim.
Yeah.
My wife stayed home today sick, and I was kind of out of it the last couple of days. So I was like, And then
you get more done when you're sick than I get done when I'm 110%.
When you just want, it's like, I don't want to do anything but sit here at my desk. Then stuff gets done. Yeah. Hey, All right, Clark I'm here. I'm continuing to paint Chinese boats for Dystopian Wars, but I'm starting to add in some armor clash, which is a 10 mil rank of flank land. Yep. Is that the new stuff or is that the old stuff? Just released 3 fractions are out. Okay, so this must be the new stuff for the land war. Because I got a bunch of the land war stuff. Of the old stuff from the previous edition. Which isn't, I don't think, the same scale as the new stuff. All right, so we got a couple topics tonight. Anybody wants to discuss them? All right, so this is kind of 2 topics in one. All right, gaming components and the importance of good quality, and then also 3D printed miniatures versus original game components. Because sometimes it's kind of cost prohibitive to, if you got a printer and you want to play a game, sometimes it just like costs too much to buy it. When settling trees on setting trees, what kind of mud to use for the terrain? Caulking, Bondo. Oh, that's a quick question. I'm about ready to do that myself. I can answer that. I'm going to be using Sculpey Putty. Put mine on.
What was the question? I missed it. Sorry.
When setting trees on bases, what kind of mud do you use for the terrain? Caulking or Bondo? Depends on if you're going to build it up. So you got some terrain effects. I usually use Sculpey Putty. But I'm going to tear all my terrain apart that I had. That Mel and I put together 30 years ago. Like, it's time to redo the trees. Hopefully that answered the question really quick.
Usually, if I put trees on any kind of other than individual trees that you move around, I usually magnetize them.
Yeah.
Put them on a washer and magnetize them so that I can just pull them out, but also they don't get knocked over when I'm, trying to squeeze something in there.
Yeah.
And then I can swap them out too, like this tree can be over here this time, or you could put a smaller tree. I use the same size washer for all of them, so they could be mixed and matched.
Just speaking of washers, bag o' washers.
Yeah.
Fender washers.
Fender washers are your friend.
Yeah. I used to use washers a lot too. Yeah. I got the place on Etsy that you can get these little metal discs.
Yeah.
They're real thin.
Okay.
And I used to use washers, and now I've went to these you get like 500 of them for, I don't know, I think it was like $18, and it's like a real thin. Oh, I got some. Right, here we go. And what I do with them, like for units and stuff, I just put them on a base like this.
Yeah.
These are 1-inch round. These are 25 millimeter round discs, and they're super thin. Super thin. And so when I magnetize my miniatures, they just go right on here really. Now I'll put a really thin coat of brown paint over this, so it won't shine on that. Most of the games I play are not model removal, but if you do model removal, it looks a little janky to have your shiny discs in the back. But so I'll just cover this up with a thin coat of brown, and these come in real handy. Other than the washers, I used to go buy washers at hardware store. You get them you just go in and buy a bag, and they weigh them at the counter.
Yep, that's how I buy mine.
And I found that sometimes the washers are a little too thick. Your miniatures will stand up off the actual movement base too high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why I went to these. They're super duper thin. Hold on there. Oh, there we go.
Now, I picked these washers up off Amazon. Like there's 100 of them. They're
Fender washers, don't you?
Fender washers, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to use for putting my trees on, because they're heavy enough to keep them from flying
Yeah.
around. But it only cost me like 10
I don't even know if you can see how thin that is. On
Oh, that's
on the
super
video.
thin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a wafer.
Yeah, I got a bag full from them, and it's like I don't know if it's like for jewelry or what it's for, but all I do go to Etsy and I type in 25 millimeter or 1 inch round metal blanks, and you'll get a whole bunch of people that just crank this stuff out.
Well,
And-
they're discs for an Eldar shuriken catapults.
Hell,
Obviously.
well, yeah. Oh,
Jeez.
and here's something else I came up with on this little movement tray. You know how like GW always has that little raised edge around the
Yeah.
movement tray? This is like a sprue piece. This is a sprue piece. It's 167 millimeters wide, and it's 100 millimeters deep. And it's like perfect. Oops, here we go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's and for a lot of my standard armies, this is the perfect size. I could always hated the idea of having all those plastic sprues and throwing them away. And I have tried to find a gazillion different things to do with them.
Yeah,
Like you
me
can
too.
use them for framing for like buildings and stuff like that with
Yeah, and rubble and yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. A buddy of mine actually even made a bunker out of them, like for World War II stuff.
Oh, really?
And
Huh.
because some of them they come with those where you just stack them up. You can stack them, and yeah. So
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
if you're crafty that way, my crafty skills were very limited. So I just thought,
Obviously, you crafted into something.
well, yeah,
You scienced the heck out of it.
I sucked
Yeah.
the shit out of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Ah,
All right, now on to the topic in hand. All right, who wants to start with that? How important are gaming components? Like, I just bought
okay, let me ask a question, Rusty.
what's that?
Game component. Are you talking like
Let's say
the
you went and
additive,
bought.
like markers and counters and those sorts of things?
The components could be the counters that may come with it, or it may be the miniatures in it. Let's say you bought yourself the starter box set for the new Old World.
Uh-huh.
It comes with miniatures, both sides.
Right.
So you got some nice components in it that you had to craft yourself, build and paint. But
I guess I didn't interpret that this included miniatures, because that actually kind of throws a lot of it. Like,
well,
if you consider
components
miniatures
typically-
gaming components, then
Yeah.
like we're talking about how important are good quality miniatures to you, and I think we'll have
components
a lot of
could be
opinions on that.
anything that's inside the box.
And
So-
do you mean how important they are? That the quality is higher, that they have lots of components and you don't have to like come up with stuff on your own?
Yeah,
Okay.
the one-stop shop type of thing.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know, in certain games, yes. Yeah, I think there's probably certain games where you want to open the box and everything's there to play it. I think it would be like pretty bad. Like, you know, a lot of companies come out with the starter sets where you have like two opposing forces and they just want to get you into the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be very, very important for those companies to put everything in there that you need to have in there to play the game.
Yeah, because they just came out with the new bolt action box set that has the rule book, it has the terrain, and it has miniatures, and I think it even has tokens and
some terrain and yeah,
everything that basically to get you started. Two people, if you both bought a box, one side could take. I'm going to take this half of that box. You take the other half of that box.
Yeah, it's a true starter set, I guess.
How much is that big? How much is that starter set?
I didn't look.
Gosh,
I think it's not cheap. I don't think, because you get the rule book, the hardcover in it, don't you?
It's a soft cover.
It's a soft cover, but is it the full rule book? I can't remember, or is it just a player? Does it?
It's the full rule book, but I don't think it carries all of the. I don't know if it has the armies in it or not, or maybe it's just a soft cover. I haven't seen anybody talk about it. But
yeah, I hadn't really looked that close at it because it wasn't something I was going to get.
Because a lot of soft cover books, they take the fluff out of it and you just get the rules.
Yeah, or they don't have all they took the whole army list section out, and then there's a pamphlet that has the information you need for what's included in the box. Sometimes they'll do that.
Yeah, that's a lot of times they'll do that too. So,
but I don't know. Like for me, when I started bolt action, I just bought the rule book, and then I built my own armies. Some of it was Warlord games, some of it wasn't. I like that part. Part of it is the search for what I need, and sometimes those starter armies, even if you're not really educated on the game system, I mean, for a lot of different companies, their starter sets sometimes, in my opinion, at least isn't the way I would build the army or use the army or whatever. And so then it's got units in it that maybe like I don't really want. I mean, it does get you started, or if maybe you and a buddy can split the box, and so it works for you guys, and then it's not like one of your, like for me, I have a limited core game set, and so like if it's somebody that a couple of people that like to just try new games when they come out, just kind of like they might play 15 different games in a year or more, then that might work for somebody like that. But for me personally, I don't care if it has. I like to sometimes I'll upgrade the components, like the pin markers that Warlord has. I'd rather have my own. There's all kinds of places on Etsy and 3D printing that you can come up with cool stuff. It's sort of like pimping your game, like they say in board gaming. So for me, it's the big thing is I like the components that come to be high quality, like the rule book to be well bound. It doesn't have to be hardcover. The miniatures to be good quality. That if it does have tokens, that they're nice, thick, heavy, attractive tokens, as opposed to, like, well, I could have made that myself out of paper,
Yeah, there's, to be honest, it's like the Dystopian Wars. They had like a light card stock that you had to cut out yourself with your own scissors instead of punch out tokens that are nice and thick and heavy, like you'd find in a board game.
Yeah, see, and that's what'll attract me even to board games, is if the art is gorgeous and the cards are glossy and thick or linen or what the different high quality cards, and if the like Fantasy Flight games, their tokens are like you could kill a small child if you dropped a token. They're just like the game. It makes you like the game before you even play it, just because the components are fun to handle. They're gorgeous. If the dice are like embossed or or whatever. I mean, if it just that kind of stuff will attract me to a game quicker, and probably I get enjoyment from that, because board gaming or miniature gaming the same way. Half of the fun is handling the components, right? Otherwise, you could just do it on a computer screen, which is cool too. But then then that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, the one of the recent BattleTech box sets that came out, it had part of the component. Yeah, obviously you got miniatures in it, but they had some nice starter rule book in there. You had terrain, buildings that you pop out and put together yourself. So you'd actually would have, finally you got some 3D print type style, or not really 3D printed, but 3D buildings instead of just your 2D hex maps and stuff. So it adds an element to not really forcing players into something, but actually making them think that a game could be more of a 3D versus a 2D.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think a lot of times the starter sets are really, they're targeting either people new to miniature gaming or somebody that's never maybe gamed that genre. They don't have any terrain, and they don't even know if they're like, they wouldn't know where to begin, because you see people on Facebook groups. It's like, hey, I just bought the rule book for this game or whatever. Like, what should I be adding to what army's an easy one to start with, and what should I buy? And they don't, that kind of allows them to avoid all of that confusion and just analysis paralysis, and just gives you what you need: rule books, measuring sticks, some terrain, rules for the units in the box, and you can play. And then you decide if you like it. And usually it's not a terrible investment, cost wise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always nice to be able to pick something up and just
be ready to go.
Yeah, you're ready to go. You maybe take a little bit of assembly to put some stuff together. You look at the current bolt action box that they has some buildings in there, like the
ruined Hamlet things probably in there again.
Yeah, and you're going to learn a little bit of terrain painting skills too, if you're really.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's good for a beginner and somebody that has obviously nothing in bolt action, maybe never did World War II before, or never miniature gamed before. And then it's extremely important to have it should have dice and everything, I think,
Yeah.
I feel like there are certain times when I like to retro game, when I play like an historical game. Speaking of like Sharp Practice, which isn't really a retro game, but it's sort of historical. I sometimes enjoy, on the one side, those games where you just have the rule book and the miniatures, and then everything else you come up with, because you're just playing like old school wargaming, where you just have the dice, the measuring tape, and just just that feel of like an old school game.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I kind of agree completely with what you guys are saying. And when Fantasy Flight was going to be one of the examples I was going to bring up with Star Wars Armada, and just basically the way that they have these like awesome movement sticks to move the ships, where they're all like,
it's really
all
nice.
move in like 3 different directions, and it allows you to wheel better, and like they're just so much fun to use. Like, just that makes the game so much more fun, that they invest into that. X-Wing has its own kind of stuff, and even the dial system and like all that kind of stuff I think is really cool. I wouldn't say that the quality of a cardboard dial in the original X-Wing is what makes it stand out, but the way it works itself is really cool. I always thought that the quality of like the bolt action order dice were very good, like for the most part.
Yeah,
at least when I got to the game. Like, maybe they weren't always, I don't know. But I think when you came up with this topic, Rusty, one of the things that I was going to say, I mean, besides the fact that I think components can make the game sometimes, like certain games, I think that there's a psychology to objects, and Dan was kind of either directly saying this or at least hinting at it when he was talking about it. When I was a kid in the 70s, the late 70s, pickup sticks, and like there were things that had all these colors of plastic, and as a little kid, I just liked playing with them because they were all these different colors of plastic. You know what I mean? Like, and they were just kind of cool. Like, and I was just a stupid kid that didn't have anything else to do. Like, didn't even have my Atari back then, at that time. But,
oh, dear God.
Yeah.
What did you do?
But like, there was
at that
time, a lot of the toys were injection molded with colorful plastic back then. Like, and they were nice to use. Like, they were cool.
Yeah.
I think they probably wanted to make sure the kids didn't eat them. You know what I mean? Because like they were just like clear plastic of different colors and things. but the point I'm making is like I don't know that I don't feel the exact same way as I did when I was a kid about handling objects like that. But I would say that I don't think I'm immune to it. You know, like if you put like a cool, even right now, there's people that are 3D printing really cool measuring dials for old world so you can move your units on an angle and like making like really cool components. And I'm just like, that's so cool. Like I need to get that, you know, and it's not just
Yeah.
utility wise, but it's also really nice looking component.
Right.
And so I would agree that there's a psychology to wanting to handle good quality stuff.
Yeah,
That's my answer. I'm really just tagging on to what you guys said, but
I was just looking up. It's like $150 for
Okay.
the new bolt action starter set.
Does it tell if it's the complete rule book? Is that easy to spot while you're looking at it there?
It just says rule book.
Okay.
Looking. Yeah, all it says is rule book.
Okay.
It could be a full rule book. It just because you know
I just can't
the
remember.
Korean War, you know, that's a fairly thick soft cover book. It might be the full book, just soft cover.
Yeah.
I heard that for a while there, they were out of the rules. You couldn't get them.
Yeah, I tried to get the individual rule book, and it was like, nope, can't get that.
I went ahead and pre-ordered it. You got a free mini with it, which was fine. And
You notice the mini's kind of small?
yeah, he's kind of fine, I would call it.
And he's like a kind of a plastic little guy.
Yeah. And then I just had to add a unit that I needed anyway for free shipping, so it was no big deal.
Yeah.
Mark was getting it right away. That's the guy around here I game with, and he was all jazzed. And so I said, "Yeah, I'll pre-order it too. Then we'll both have it at the same time."
Yeah, it's looking like it's well,
I don't know if I'm imagining it. I thought they said it was like had all the rules, but it wasn't necessarily like it wasn't the full book. But I might be thinking of a different game. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Last 2 months have been kind of a blur, so I don't know what's happening.
Do you even get any sleep when you're in harvest time, Dan?
Well, this year not lots. It didn't rain ever, so other than a couple breakdowns that slowed me down, you just not too much. I mean, I try to get like 5 hours or so a day if I can.
Well, so you got done just before we had our week-long rain session.
Yeah, I got done Monday. Tuesday, I got the combine, and the wagons cleaned up, parked in the shed, and it started raining Wednesday at noon. And then we've been in and out of rain since then. Nobody's been back in the field. There's a few guys that aren't done yet in our area, but most people are. So that was good timing. Well, it's kind of you watch the weather like a hawk to make sure you see, because you can always go a little harder if you need to.
Yeah, it kind of shocked me how much rain we've got. It was like it rained, and well, it's raining some more. Well, it's not stopped raining.
Yeah, now it's sounds like another soaking rain over here on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, well, it's a good thing because we were desperately dry. Probably the driest I've seen it in over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty dry over here too. I mean, we haven't had any rain to speak of in like 2 months.
Well, I don't think I've ever had a harvest that I did all the soybeans, all the corn, and we didn't. And I think we had like a tenth and a half of rain during the whole thing, which since it was so dry, it only stopped me for a couple hours.
Yeah, it took a lot of
Unheard
moisture
of.
coming in to overcome the dryness.
Yeah, it would try to rain once in a while. And this time of year, a lot of times it's hard to get rain with the when they get a hurricane going down in the Gulf or along the East Coast. That kind of shuts the jet stream down. And
Yep.
so whatever weather you tend to just have a high pressure sitting here then while that's going on.
Yep.
Which is good. I mean, we needed dry weather to get the crop in, but now we need the rain. So yeah, I'm never happy. It's not it's rain and don't rain at the same time, right?
I'm going to delve into the
Life of a
comment
farmer,
section
isn't it?
here.
Either too much or too little.
Oh, we bitch about everything: the weather, the prices, everything.
Well, you're walking on a razor's edge most of the time. You're dealing with Mother Nature. She can,
Yeah, she's fickle.
yeah.
All right, let's go into the comments here real quick. Mel says, I'll take a stab at the current Battletech boxes. Yeah, I think that's what I was talking about, was that the Battletech boxes, the latest ones, is kind of like throwing stuff together to make it more of that, adding a little bit to the game versus, just boxes of miniatures.
Yeah.
Some of us have lots of miniatures.
Well, I remember the first edition came out. They had a starter set, and it had the Americans and Germans, and it was a Normandy set, and it had a small, whatever size, that soft cover rule book. And I think I have it somewhere. I thought I never used it because I had the hardcover, but I think it was the full rules. It was just like microscopically small.
Yeah. It could be because it has to fit inside the box.
Yeah, and it had terrain and actually you could get it doesn't matter. You could get a hardcover book and a starter set also for first edition.
That's the way I got it for first edition.
Yep.
I got the hardcover book.
Because I actually bought it on eBay. It was my very first bolt action. I got the starter set and he shipped it, and I'm like, well, you said it was complete and it's supposed to have a hardcover rule book in it. He's like, oh yeah. So he actually did. He went ahead and sent it out to me. But then I also have that small rule book. So that must have been another, whether it's a different edition or later, because that would be expensive to buy.
That was the Band of Brothers box set, I think it was.
There's one that was like Assault on Normandy. That was one of the early starter sets, either for first or second edition. I have it over here, but I can't see that far. But yeah, it doesn't. I think it was Assault on Normandy.
I got a U.S. starter army that came with a hardcover book.
Oh, okay.
That's the way I think I got it. I didn't get the. I don't know. I don't
first
think,
edition.
Yeah, it was first edition.
Okay.
I think that's the way I did it. I don't think I got because I didn't get two sides. I just got only Americans, and I got a starter. I'm pretty sure I got a hardcover book as part of a bundle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been, because I don't remember any of the army starters coming with a rule book. Mm-hmm. But they've always had at least one starter set, which would have that ruined Hamlet, which isn't even in the right scale.
And I got that. I thought I got that ruined Hamlet, but
yeah, I've got one too. It came in one of the starter sets I'd gotten just to bulk out my forces, because every once in a while you could go on eBay and pick up the starter set for just super cheap. Obviously somebody got it, decided they weren't going to build it, and just trying to unload it. So I would buy it, and yeah, you get the terrain piece, which it's okay. I think it's more like 1/72 scale, but that's fine.
And that's going to be delve into the second half of that of our topic there, how to improve those. And Mel says, number one, miniatures, 100% needed cardstock, not so much anymore. We got so many miniatures. Plastic ones are coming in these box sets are really nice. So yeah, having cardstock. Well, they did come out where they had some miniatures, actual miniatures, plastics, and then they had cardstock miniatures to supplement, really cheap, to help people start a force out, I guess would be the way.
For BattleTech?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't they have the like little card stands where you put the little cutout of the mech in the little card stand at one point in time? Back in the day?
Yeah, way back in the day. That was one of the first box sets. It was like those things. I remember it's like, okay, we bought the box and it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Those things got thrown in the trash. And see, number 2, card buildings, about 80% would be better components if plastic. Could be more 3D look and feel. Yeah. Yeah, the one set, what was it? The Clan Invasion box that had the buildings in it that were card stock you put together. But yeah, it'd be nice if they made them out of plastic and you glue them together and make actually really nice buildings.
Well, it's always a balance between cost and
But I think that's one thing that Catalyst needs to do is start producing have a nice line of. Well, they do. They go with Gale Force 9 is doing it for them, but
oh yeah, that's good stuff. They know how to make things.
Yeah, they do.
Card trees, rough terrain, 0% interest in all that. Yeah, it's like you can go to the train store and buy yourself some actual trees and put them together. Model railroading is your friend when it comes to terrain.
Oh heck yeah!
I'll probably pick up the starter set and go from there. 3D printing, most everything else after that. Yeah, so it's like that's one thing I'm thinking really getting to is start 3D printing more terrain and then actually paint it. I do have a few buildings that I've printed out. You've seen that piece of terrain I had that would work for like Stalingrad.
Yes, yeah, I remember when you showed me that a summer ago, and that piece really catches my eye.
Yeah, it's like I still have to put it together and glue it together and then prime it and everything and paint it. That's going to take a little while. There's so much detail in that thing.
I know, but that's what makes a table, Yeah. Come on.
And I want to get into, because I just found last week we played a game of Middle Earth battle strategy game.
Yeah. I about freaked out when I saw that. I was like, are you watching somebody play? Are you playing? What is that?
Tonight, Jesse, he played the guy that was teaching us the game. He played him tonight, who's elves versus dwarves again. And
that's awesome.
The dwarves won. So he actually got some good dice rolls. That was the thing in that game, was that the elves have a special skill where any tie goes to them, and they have a +1 to their roll off to see who gets to win the combat, to be able to throw who does damage.
Right.
So, being that they're master swordsmen and, they've been around for thousands of years, so they do have some skills versus everybody else.
I suppose. And
super weapons, keen edge or something of that nature was what they call it. But it came down to where the elves could usually get the attack in, but the dwarves had heavy armor. So it was like fighting tanks. So the elves would win, so they'd take the strike, but the dwarves shrug it off with their armor.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, it one of those things where the elves would need 6s to hit, and then 6s to wound.
Yeah,
that type of thing.
Yeah. And since the elves are so expensive, you don't have 1,000 of them. So
yeah, that's what it came down to.
Everything from GW is expensive. Oh, wait a second. That's not what you meant.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Of course, it's funny. I thought it was expensive back in the 90s when I started buying, because that's why I started build my armies out of raw Partha miniatures at first because I was like, I can't afford to buy the GW Bretonians.
What I find interesting is that back in the day, there wasn't any GW miniatures around here. It was nothing but Raupartha and Grenadier.
Yeah. Wasn't really. I guess this was around 96, 7, 8. And there was a hobby store, Dragon's Lair, down in Omaha that I went to a couple times. And they had them. And that's when I bought most of mine because with the 5th edition was out and in 2006 edition was in. And so they had these big tubs on the floor full of blisters that were marked like half off.
Yeah.
And I just remember digging through and finding any of the Bretonians because they're like so cool. And actually the ones that's what I've been painting up. Some of that's from that. But yeah, they were so, I remember looking at a box for a unit was like, I don't know how much, maybe it was only like, I don't know, $30 some or so. I don't know. But at the time I was like, I can't really justify that.
Well, I do. Yeah, it's like it would be between $20 and $30 where there would be a box of miniatures.
Yeah, which I know nowadays, but and of course I'm an adult too now, so I was then too, but I was just married and yeah, we didn't have any extra money for that.
See, Alpha Strike card 100% for collecting, especially for Alpha Strike rules. If you don't play Alpha Strike, the Alpha Strike cards in those Battletech boxes are just like, okay, wasted crap.
Wasted crap.
But it's kind of cool to look at them going, oh, nice.
Yeah, nice, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not useful. Okay, components to me get me excited to get into the game. I dig components, and yes, I'm addicted to Fantasy Flight games. They do a nice job of creating the components for the game.
Oh gosh, and usually the rules are. We've always found the rules are if you're trying to interpret something, just read the words. It's like don't try to take it further than that. Like literally read the words, and that's almost always clears stuff up if you can find the rule in the book. But yeah, their stuff is just oh man. We played a lot of Eldritch Horror here a year ago, and man, that's. And then, of course, they have 100,000 expansions, you know, for usually a lot of their games, which is awesome. And yeah,
and not,
and not
for the completionists.
Yeah, which I try to keep just a couple games that I'm a completionist on as far as the board games go, and then try to be restrained.
What is Fantasy Flight Games doing nowadays? Now that they've gotten out of a lot of their game systems.
You know what? I don't actually even know. A lot of the board game loop, I still play a lot of them, but I don't. I used to go on. I mean, this is back 8 years ago or 10. I'd go on Board Game Geek almost daily or several times a week for sure. So I always knew all the buzz, but I don't know. I haven't bought a new game in a long time. Every once in a while I pick up expansions or something for games I have, but my family members are all board game crazy, so that we have every game you can ever want to think about playing between one of us 6 siblings.
Yeah, that's the way it used to be. It was that we were big into board games too. My brothers still. Oh, you seen I got a few board games left.
Yeah, I saw them when we were there, and that's where I came from. We played board games as kids, or even like the Avalon Hill and Fantasy Flight and Talisman. I have everything for the 2nd edition Talisman. My mom got me that for Christmas when I was a kid, and eventually each year she'd get me something more for it.
This is a basic game. It's not real fancy, but have you guys played the Jaws game?
No, I have not. I've seen the box cover.
Jaws?
Yeah.
No,
I have it. I want
to
to try it out. Yeah, no, it's I got a lot of how do I word it? It was distributed fairly widely. Like it was not a
Okay.
niche thing.
So if you open the boxes, they go dun.
That's the sound, the sound of the cardboard going against it. It's like, but I haven't played it. I need to play it. I need to try it out with the family. Just because I'm just being like, a big fan of the movie or whatever. And it was kind of reasonably priced. I thought it would be kind of cool because apparently like one person plays the shark and then the other people play the people trying to catch the shark. And so, it's
that sounds cool.
There's one guy going around with an .6 with tanks of compressed air.
Probably.
Okay, what's a good starter box for Bolt Action 3rd edition to pick up? I had the old 2nd edition Band of Brothers starter painted and sold. That's only Bolt Action I've ever had. Yeah, they just came out with the new 3rd edition Battle of the Bulge set.
Yeah, and that's the only starter set, isn't it?
Am
I wrong?
Yeah, that's the only one I know of. So you get the Winter Americans and Winter Germans in that set.
Yeah, and they're new miniatures, aren't they?
Yes.
New plastics.
Yeah.
And in each quarter, they're going to release a new army or so that'll have the new army book and then some new miniatures for it. I believe it's at January is the first release, and it's going to be the Germans.
Okay.
That pre-order just popped up. I saw here. This week or something.
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, you get a special miniature again, but anytime you order something from Warlord Bolt Action wise, usually there's a book or rule wise there's an exclusive mini, which some people like that.
Yeah, because I got the Case Blue the box or the book. It came with this little Italiano.
Yep.
So we got that. Like I said, you look at the guy here. I guess it's about. Oh, wait a minute. This guy is way bigger than this guy.
Yeah. Well, that's just how he is. They always like to say, "Well, guys, people come in different sizes, but yeah, it's the same rifle."
Yeah. So yeah, it's like Warlord Games. It's $150 on the website for the Bolt Action 3D 3rd edition. So it's $149. Battle of the Bulge starter set.
And you might be able to find it cheaper. Retailers will have it.
Yeah, if you look on, you go on eBay, you probably could find it a lot cheaper. Let me check here.
Well, and even places like Miniature Market does, if you're in the United States, they
$120.
Okay.
You can get it on eBay for $120. You'd save yourself a few dollars.
Is that with free shipping?
Yes. Okay, Clark says Armored Clash Faction Army boxes are around 110. But come with everything you need or talking about. They have enough units to play a standard game. 10 mil infantry and detail is very good. Yeah, that's a nice thing. Is if you buy a faction, you should be able to get everything you need to start that army. Now are they doing? I haven't looked into it. Do they have a 2-player starter box set yet, or is that just army boxes
for Bolt Action?
For Dystopian Wars.
Oh, I was like, yeah, we just talked about that, didn't we? Sorry.
Yeah, because Dystopian Wars used to be everything usually came in a 2-player start boxes. So you'd have 2 factions would be in each box. They had everything related to campaigns. So for this campaign, you had this army and this army would be in that as a campaign box.
That always.
When you were
go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you were talking about land wars earlier, you weren't talking about Dystopian War, were you?
Yes.
Okay, because when I look at I always thought it was like a naval game, and when I'm looking at the website, on their website, like everything right up front is showing, like, and even the how to play, like naval.
Yeah. It's a little known fact that even the old edition had land wars. It was just most people played it as a naval game. When I say we played, probably 9% of our games were naval games, but every once in a while we'd delve into playing the land war.
Because when you're looking at the unit gallery, they break it up into surface, they break it up into skimming, and then they break it up into submerged, and then aerial. And the surface, I guess I'm not seeing any land stuff.
Yeah, it'd be under. It's probably it's Armored Clash. It's there's Dystopian Wars, and then there's Armored Clash. It's like
okay,
they should be able to interface with each other.
Oh yeah, Armored Clash. It's a different game. They have it underneath a different game. So I totally now I see what you're saying. Okay. It's not on the Dystopian Wars page, but it's on the manufacturer's page under Armored Clash.
Yeah.
There you go. Learn something new.
Learned something there. I didn't know that either.
Would it be better to get a single army starter, then later a second for opponents? If I'm going to start off as a new person, I'd probably buy the 2-player starter set. So you'd have 2 forces. At least if they wanted to, you'd have at least two factions of the fight off against each other. So.
And it doesn't look like they're selling miniatures for the Armored Clash. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's probably just box sets. That was one thing that Spartan Games did, is they would sell big boxes, but they sold everything you could get in the big box you could buy individually in packs. So if you didn't want to go down the big box route and you just wanted to buy a small starter box and then add onto it like an onion, you layered it out.
Layers.
Trolls are like onions.
Yes, that's all I could think about when you said that.
They have layers.
They have layers.
Yeah. Are you painting tonight? No, I'm actually. I've done a lot of painting today. I'm just taking a break to do all this talking. Did a lot of painting. It's like was showing off the stuff I finished today. Okay, that kind of depends on your budget. If you knew what year you would help the decision. Well, if you went into 44 Waffen SS, German Airborne or U.S. Airborne, yeah, it depends on the if you like to do like Market Garden or Normandy. If you're doing Normandy, like U.S. Airborne summer uniforms versus general German infantry would work good. But you'd have to buy like a U.S. starter box set. Depends if you get the airborne or you get just the regular.
Right. Yeah.
I do have the British Red Devils set that I need to put together and paint sometime for my British. But
British.
One thing I want to really do is eventually get into the French. Now that they was it March? Just before my surgery, they released the French army.
Yeah, that was impressive. Yep.
But I haven't looked at it since I had my surgery.
My next bolt action army is going to be Polish.
Yeah.
And I've been slowly picking stuff up when I see sales and good deals. And like when I ordered the bolt action rule book, I got a Polish unit just to get me free shipping. And yeah, I'm excited about that. I always thought that was, fascinating how they fought like cats and dogs and were holding their own pretty good even
Yeah, if they hadn't been stabbed in the back by the
by the Soviets.
yeah, they would have held out a heck of a lot longer.
Yeah, they were just trying to hold on long enough for the UK and France to figure out that they should do something. But and then they had some interesting units, and then I don't have anything that's early war like that. So, and my buddy Mark's got enough German stuff from all different vintages that he can make that work too. So yeah, that'd be kind of fun. I always thought that was cool how they.
I have a friend locally that's dived into bolt action that he never played it before, and he actually never really showed interest whenever I talked to him about it. But he just decided all of a sudden with 3rd edition coming that he's going to get into it. So he's doing Africa Corps Germans,
cool.
And I have Americans, and so already painted, and so I'm gonna. Granted, they're whole another subject. What is it like to go back to using armies that from when you first started painting?
Oh yeah, no joke.
So basically, these are like the armies the first historicals that I painted prior to French Indian War too. And except for the ones that I did last December, you guys might remember I painted a little bit, but I'm gonna pick it up 3rd edition, but I'm gonna kind of wait until the new year, I think. And so I'm gonna let him paint his stuff, and then I'm just gonna invest in that down the road because I just I've been spending a lot on Old World and just basically budgeting how I'm doing this, and so I'm just gonna paint. I'm just gonna paint. I'm just going to stick with my Americans, and I'll paint Germans in the new year alongside, because if you guys remember, I bought like a starter army of Germans last December with some extra stuff too, some cool tanks and like a truck and like just different things. Yeah, and so I'm going to do a project, but I want to scratch the French Indian War itch again, and so I'm going to start with that.
Yeah, cool.
Which means by the time I start it, it'll probably be after. It'll be a bit into the new year before I even consider World War II painting, probably.
Yeah, they I totally forgot my line of thought. What I was going to say. It was related to bolt action.
That's nice and musty. Good job.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say is that I have the German Waffen SS starter box.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I knew
it's
that.
put together and primed. I just need to paint it.
Okay.
And one thing, Curtis, is I wouldn't necessarily buy, if you got the 3D printer now, you can find some good files for like vehicles and print those, put them together. A lot cheaper than it would be to buy the models. I have a full platoon of Germans for 43 on west front, so that I know. I'm not sure I want to do east. I don't know. We'll have to think what's available for starters. Yeah, it's like when you go east, you have to definitely do the Germans versus Russians, and that was my very first army that I ever built in that historical scale was the Russians, because Easy 8 Enterprise, they gave me, they gave some to Mel, and they gave me a bunch of Russians. So that's why most of my Russians came from was Easy 8.
That's cool. That's like a collector's item now.
Yeah. I don't know if you can find the printed ones. You can find the models that show up on eBay, but
right, once in a while.
Yeah. Infantry platoon. Yeah, the platoon, you're looking at 3 squads. So you got about 30 guys. That's a nice starter force. Then you throw in some mortars, machine guns, heavy weapons teams type thing. Now with 3rd edition, it's actually playable to want to have machine guns.
Yeah. Now all of a
Well,
sudden it's a thing.
actually, I was going to ask that question, but I thought maybe that would be a really good topic for when we talk about the game.
Yeah.
On that one thing, because I know that's a hot topic. I was specifically asking about the medium machine gun.
Yeah.
But probably good.
We'll let that slide for now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was the Alpha Strike box that had the card buildings. Armored Clash has a 2-player starter box. It also has everything for 2 players, but it doesn't come with the large resin land ships. So you got to buy those separately in like packs, I imagine.
Okay.
They have separate websites, yeah. It's like 2 different games. Are they compatible? That's one thing I have to never really noticed if they're compatible with each other anymore. They used to be the other 2 games. You could have a land war going on in one half the table and the ocean war going on the other half, and they could shoot at each other and interact because it's the same game system.
Sweet.
War Cradle's goal is for integration of the 2 games is for naval land vessels deploy ground forces, and you zoom into the 10 mil game for the land. Okay, so it is going to be compatible. I picked up the Japanese Army box for bolt action anticipation of 3rd. Oh yeah, I put together the helped Jesse put together the Japanese Army box that he has, plus some extra miniatures. So Jesse has a large Japanese army.
Nice. Bolt action's a really fun game.
Yeah.
Clyde's heading out.
Preaching to the choir here. All right, Hayes.
Good night, Clyde. How often do you guys get hobby time considering how busy life is? Dan must be awful with the farm. Is it once a week sort of thing or more often? Well, for me, it's a daily thing if I want it to be. Unless I get really busy. But if you're retired, it's not as hard of a...
I usually actually even
I highly recommend retirement.
I'm going to look into it. I've heard good things.
Yeah.
I usually try to get hobby time almost every day, except during some of my real busy times, and I do pretty well. I stick to that. Sometimes maybe it's only half an hour, but I find in general, if you can do it more consistently, you don't get into where all of a sudden you kind of drift away from it, because you're seeing your progress, and it probably helps if you can get some games in. That keeps motivation high, I think. But but for me, if I can even just get half an hour, a lot of times I do it after everybody's gone to bed, and this is my normal hobby time now, and so then I don't feel like I should be doing something else. So
yeah, most of my time hobbying, like my career hobbying, I should say, in the past in particular, like after work, I would be like 30 minutes to 60 minutes during the week. Most nights, with a night off, sometimes this and that, like you got to do something, family member or whatever. Yeah. And then I try to catch up sometimes on the weekends where I'll actually do like a 3-hour kind of stint, and I actually have a lot of energy, and I'll still do that now where I'll have sometimes like a 3-hour stint, like on a weekend day or whatever. But, I would say I have more time. I'm in a particular situation right now where I'm in between things. And so I technically have more time, but I don't always use it wisely. And so I'm kind of fairly undisciplined in that way. I wish I was better disciplined, and I'm juggling multiple things. Even when I have a lot of time, technically, I still don't do much more than what I did even when I was much more constrained, if that makes sense. And
interesting.
And so it's interesting, in that way. And then like you guys were saying, if I'm gaming and I'm really excited, I tend to do more. It brings me to that desk faster. I'm getting ready to do video because I haven't done a video in a long time, just to show some of the Orcs and Goblins that I've painted this year. And it's not as impressive as it's like, I'm really happy with the work that I did, but it's not the amount isn't as impressive as what I'd like it to be, considering how long it took me to do it. Like it really isn't a lot, I wish I could say that I did a tremendous amount. I mean, like compared to Rusty, like it's not even in the stratosphere of your productivity.
I don't do hardly anything. I just
few people are.
I only do like 100 miniatures a week. What is that? A lot?
Yeah, that's a lot. Rusty.
Well,
you guys were talking about bolt action. Before we go off, let's just say I've got. Let's see what are these guys here? Come on, tell me what you are. Oh, I have the Alpine troops, Italians.
Nice, yep.
Then I got. Let's see what does it say here?
You got the Italians,
right? What is that? I've done it. Yeah, normally tells you on the sprue what they are. Oh, the Commonwealth, British troops. I got British troops.
All right.
And then I got these look like, yeah, these are French.
You got troops. French troops.
Yep. And then I got let's see, what are these guys? Oh, U.S. Airborne.
Oh.
And I got U.S. Rangers.
Lead the way.
Nice.
And then I do believe these are just your everyday God-loving
GIs.
Waffen-SS.
Oh, the opposite.
Jesus. God-loving Waffen-SS. So those are like the sprues. So I get the feeling that Games Workshop is trying to convince me to do bolt action. So they've only got two sprues that are not World War II in the last year or so. And one of those is WI, and one of them is the later Romans, after the first century Romans.
Have you ever played it, Tim? Bolt action?
What, bolt action? No, I've never. Okay. I don't own the book. Oh, and I got this sprue of like modern warriors, like.
He put on the ring. He disappeared.
Yeah. Oh, Frodo.
Yeah. This is like, it just says modern warriors. I don't know what.
It's the alien symbiote. That's what is it? From Venom that's grabbing him. It's the black that's enveloping him. You play. Forgive me, but you have played like Hail Caesar a lot.
Right? Yes. Yeah, it seems to be my go-to.
Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Bolt Action's a really fun game. I actually think that it's probably not as complicated as Hail Caesar on a complexity level. Because it's a skirmish game and the rules are fairly intuitive and easier, but I actually think they're great. Like, I actually really like it. But I don't find it like arduous, like the rules in Bolt Action. I would say because Black Powder and Hail Caesar are kind of somewhat similar. Like, I think I find them to be, personally a little bit harder of a rule set, to manipulate and use than Bolt Action. I feel like I'm stepping on some people's toes here, but no, I only bring that up because I just think that it's it's really fun. It's kind of light, but it works really well. Like if you want like a fast game to have a lot of fun and play with friends and get immersed in it, and because of the random activation, like I think it's great. Like the bolt action, you might really enjoy it if you're thinking of pulling these sprues out and adding something to them. You might really enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just got this stack of World War II stuff down, and so I kept, because when you get that order and you get that surprise little sprue, it's like Christmas time. It's like, ooh boy,
What do they get?
It's like, great, more bold action shit.
You're gonna need a lot of green stuff to make all of those one army.
Yeah,
it's gonna take a lot of green stuff.
It's almost like you got a whole lot of nothing.
yeah, I got a whole lot of. Here's an idea for you. What I need to do.
Having said that, even if you just have 2 units that are Americans or whatever, and you decide to do Americans, there you go. There's 2 units you don't have to buy or whatever. It's kind of cool.
Five guys on a sprue.
Do what?
Yeah.
There's 5 guys on a sprue?
God, I don't know. I didn't count.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, so I guess it's not a unit, a box.
6 guys.
6 guys. So
no, 6, Rusty, not 5.
Jeez.
Anyways, it is actually it all comes down to you're an ancients guy. Like you kind of like your ancients,
and he likes
on what you want to do.
I like kind of Dark Ages and on back. I skipped the middle. I skipped the Middle Ages and the Crusades and stuff. They're pretty cool. I don't know. It's just one of those time periods that just doesn't sing to me.
Yeah.
I really thought. Go ahead.
No, you can. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I was just saying the next time period I was really thinking about doing was like the Italian wars and stuff. I've kind of cooled off on that idea.
Like medieval.
Late Renaissance.
Renaissance. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I don't mind playing World War II and I kind of like it, even though French-Indian War I would have to say is my number 1 historical period, the reason why I enjoy World War II is I don't want to play 40K anymore, but I still want to play a game that has armor and tanks. And so that might sound really lame to somebody that really likes World War II, and Dan's like really into it. But I enjoy the World War II, and I kind of grew up with a grandfather that served in World War II, and I grew up in a time when there were a lot of World War II movies. And so like I enjoy the idea of playing World War II. But honestly, from a gaming perspective, the reason why I want to play it is so I can play something with machine guns and armor and like something like different. Like I don't really enjoy Warhammer 40K anymore, which had that's the first game that I kind of played for the most part was Rogue Trader and Warhammer 40K that had like tanks and stuff like that. And so like I transitioned out of 40K into World War II bolt action, which was a very smooth transition. And that's why I still kind of enjoy it. Like it's a lot of fun. But it's kind of easy too. Like I think from a painting perspective, it's kind of an easy entry level.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's great.
Tons of choices for miniatures, whether you want 3D printed or plastic or metal, different scales. So it's very accessible. For me, I always think World War II, and I know part of it is probably because it's a period that interests me ever since I was a child. We were, like you said, Palmer, grew up with the World War II movies, and it was still kind of the peak of U.S. infallibility and save the world type stuff. So it was just kind of part of that whole mindset. And it was, but beyond that, on the tabletop, I feel like it works extremely well because, there's hand to hand, there's armor, there's long range weapons, there's like machine guns, there's single shot, there's even rockets, there's aircraft, there's howitzers, there's anti-tank rifles, Panzerschrecks, Panzerfaust. So there's so many different types of units and tactical situations. I think that makes it it's not just everybody has this, either these are swordsmen or these are archers or cavalry. I
could be wrong, but I think most of us here probably had a family member that served in World War II, like or and then or know somebody. Like we're of an age in the Musty Wargamers where we're not too young to have known somebody that's actually in our even if it was earlier in life that was in World War II, and so that's kind of a component. But then the interesting thing is, that saying truth is stranger than fiction. This doesn't completely apply, but it's kind of like alongside that. Seeing a Sherman or like a Tiger on the tabletop, to me, even as somebody that loves the 40K lore, and I say that as somebody that just got Space Marine 2 today. So I'm playing video games in 40K. Like today, just started playing Warhammer Universe 40K, but only as a video game. I'm not playing anymore on tabletop, that game. But even with saying that and loving the Warhammer lore in mythology, I still think it's cooler to see real tanks on the table. Like I think real tanks look cooler than fake created tanks, in my opinion. Yeah, that's just my opinion. Just my opinion. I also love Warhammer Fantasy as a game much better than 40K, and so like I've just changed in that way. Yeah. But seeing real tanks is so cool on the table.
Well, and the German tanks were everybody loves the way they looked. But
I like seeing Shermans too. I like seeing Shermans in mass.
And I always loved the Grant or the Lee also from early war. I mean, it wasn't the best tank, but that thing is just cool looking to me. And the other thing about World War II is you can play in the snow, in the jungle, on the beaches, in the mountains, and I mean it's in so many different nationalities that you can be that has their different angles. It's just, and it's history, so it like combines a lot of things. And I think the ranges also work reasonably well on a 4x6 table. Once you get into the more modern, then people have trouble with, well, that should be able to shoot clear across the table, and then it just gets harder to kind of simulate that, I think, once you get into Vietnam and newer.
Yeah.
Well, I scratch my World War II itch with Flames of War.
Absolutely, yeah.
That works.
My World War II. I like the early war.
Do you play ever?
We haven't played it in a few months, but I got like a Crusader.
Oh, really?
I still got to paint and put together for it, and like North Africa and stuff. I'm at where I like. One reason I like ancients and stuff, like especially like the Greeks and the Romans and stuff, things are somewhat balanced out. You had a lot of historically, once you get past a certain point in World War II, to me mentally, it's like, okay, we're just going to be bringing in, super fortresses and our overwhelming numbers of tanks and stuff, and it's just a done deal. It's just if you're playing historically,
right,
where they're on the back foot, and it's just the Russians are
absolutely
going hundreds of miles a week, and it's just, I don't know. But I like the early stuff. I like the stuff where everything is in flux, everything is up in the air. There's no definitive path forward.
I don't find bolt action to be heavily historically influenced in the way you get advantage and so I haven't played since first edition, so I'll just put that out there. But in my experience, because it's a small engagement skirmish game, it's sort of like
what takes it out of there. You're right.
You're right. But in Flames of War, which is like another level up, like in platoons and things, like I think maybe you see that more, and also this is just me, like maybe Dan, you notice it different, because I just feel like the weaknesses of bolt action are probably the weaknesses of any game, and that is just what do we need to do to get it right? Like so medium machine guns are not the way we want them to be because they're not like as relevant as they are in the actual war. But it's a game. It's a game. Like you know what I mean. And so, but really at a certain level, like I find. Because it's such a small engagement, you don't have to so much have the worries that you're talking about for bolt action.
Yeah, because you don't have the number differences, and then most of the games obviously are points. So so it's kind of a balanced engagement with period correct equipment, which, like you say, if you zoom out far enough, it would be completely asymmetrical.
Well, and actually, like what you're saying, if you go down to where that MG42s are firing away, your game gets down to where just everybody's pinned and we're waiting for artillery fire.
Yeah, an individual man is an individual man.
Game. We pin you with machine guns, you blow us up with artillery, or bring in tanks to run over us, or aircraft, and the bomb.
Well, and then you throw in what's the objective of the game? What's the scenario objective? Are you just trying to hold an objective? Or get guys off of a table edge. And so sometimes, you can play against somebody's strengths by, like you don't have to kill their tank, or, you can avoid the tank, or you can, so there's like any game. That's not special to bolt action.
So someone who's never played bolt action, how many miniatures are like on the table per side? Take out
roughly
the Russian,
40, right? Roughly
take out
40.
the Russians, because the Russians would probably have twice the number.
Yeah. It's more
30 to 60.
Yeah, I would say 60 to 70 even. Really.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, by the time you count, like three guys on the machine gun team. But a squad is, kind of minimum. Is like 6 to 10 is kind of normal squad size, and you really need to have in a 1,000-point game anyway. It seems like you need about 4 squads of 8 to 10 as your base, and then you're going to have your lieutenant and his helper, and you might have a sniper and his spotter, and then if you've got a medium machine gun team, that's 3 guys. Because like when I do easy army at the bottom, it breaks it down. It's like, you need like 25 riflemen, 33 of this, and 6 with submachine guns. But I think usually I'm around that. And again, it depends if you're playing 1,000 or 1,250. And then in third edition, refigured a few of the points too, which is one of the adjustments. But I think I'm closer to that 60 plus ish.
See, I
40,
find
40 would be small, like all veteran or something.
I might have been playing less points.
Low count.
I might have been playing less points, but I thought I was playing around 40, not including maybe some of the teams. But then the feeling though that I got, Tim, emotional feeling of the game is like if you watch a movie like Fury, do you remember Fury, the World War II movie that Brad Pitt is the tank commander?
Yeah.
If you watch a movie like that, versus like something versus something that's like at a grander scale, like like Band of Brothers or whatever, with their actions, like you have like these like situations where you just turn the corner and there's like one tiger there and everybody like freaks out, like bolt actions like that smaller scale game, like where like you're dealing like at the unit level, like and even though like you might have like and it just, you have that feel like we have to take that tank out, or we have to take that thing out of the bird's nest, that's the feeling of it. It's like the game is that. It's not like Flames of War is more like what I'm used to playing in some other, well, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but it's like a bigger scale for sure. Like, it's like,
it's a larger model count game that has a more,
it's just zoomed out a lot more. It's just, the
out.
individual man is not, because I like
it's like if you look at the bolt action, each individual Flames of War, your stand will be the squads versus. So
right,
you're looking at company to battalion level game versus
And
a company.
yeah,
or
and like
team.
in bolt action, the individual placement of each guy, does he individually have line of sight? And it's like you're almost attached to the guys. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
because it's more personal, I think, when you zoom in that tight. And like you said, Palmer, I mean, maybe it isn't 40 and 70 would be a high end maybe of like a Soviet force, but you're right. I mean, you're talking, probably you could have a nice 1,000-point game with 50 miniatures. Probably, you're right.
Yeah, and then depends on the other stuff you have, right? Like
yeah, or
you had a Jeep with a machine gun on the back, and like
yeah,
all
and the
these other things.
Sherman and a couple things,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, yeah. So, but either way, yeah, each guy is important because you don't, and like I was saying too, that each guy, if he's behind the terrain or not, and the one guy is your NCO for that unit,
Right.
like he is a specific important and has influences and where you place him and if he takes a hit. And
Yeah.
so
It's
yeah,
fun
so
though. It's really, really a lot of fun.
every
Like,
game to me is like literally like a movie. It's like
I've never
you could go through and make a movie of what happened and it would be
Yeah.
brilliant.
I never
time.
had a game I didn't like a bolt action. Like
Me neither.
I've always enjoyed it. Yeah, absolutely. Always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the game. Sometimes I didn't enjoy what my dice did, but
I always just enjoy the story it tells.
yeah.
I did a couple games at a tournament weren't the best, but these were like highly competitive tournament players from Chicago had come into the Omaha tournament, and it was like watching 3D chess. I mean, they just took you apart, and it wasn't very. They didn't play very historical. It was just that was because for me the story and for both people to have fun is more important to me than like the outcome. But yeah, blame
I
the
agree.
dice. No,
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I was going to suggest, Rusty, is probably we don't have time for our second topic tonight because I think we've done some other topics. But yeah, maybe we could add it to the next show. Maybe we could do a bolt action 3rd edition discussion with Dan. If Dan's able to make, I think you said you might be able to.
Yeah, I think I should be good. Are we kind of trying to
every 2 weeks?
Yeah,
every 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to. We could do the discussion on. I mean, Warhall is basically a tabletop simulator. We could do the discussion on tabletop simulation to play games remotely and how useful
we could do that. Let's do that next.
Yeah, we'll do that next, and then let's have a discussion on the bolt action 3rd edition. That would be fun too.
Yeah,
I'm interested in that. To try that. So
see,
Clyde, as long as you guys are good with that.
Yeah, I'm all about it. So
burn through some of these comments real quick.
Yeah, there's a few good comments here.
Where was it? Okay, you got Clyde was. Well, I guess I need to do crusades now to get help out the group. Yeah, nobody's doing crusades right now.
Yeah, I'd love to do crusades, but I
real tanks so cool on the table. Sounds like someone who doesn't have his own squadrons of Savannah Masters. You speaking of Savannah Masters, here's some right here.
Oh, there you go.
Yep, little buggers. They're nasty. Real tanks are so cool. Spoken like someone who doesn't have squadrons of Savannah Masters.
Double post.
Yeah. Okay. Or a demolisher and ambush, or a company of demolishers. It's like tanks with 2 AC-20s, the biggest auto cannon you can put in the game.
Yeah.
I'm collecting 15 mil for Flames of War again now, but I'm really excited to deep into 28 platoon. One reason is I love the paint, the bigger scale, but also more tactical.
Yeah, that's what grabs me is the tactical.
Yeah,
like we were talking.
Now it depends on the game system. It's like Fire and Fury. You can really play heavy tactical even if it's 15 mil because now you're maneuvering forces around. But it's a different way of playing. It's a different form of how to play tactical. You get with 28s. Played lots of Rommel rules as well. It's a battalion level game. Totally different. It's like Flames of War.
I haven't heard of that. Yeah.
And Flames of War is you can be company to battalion level. Depends on how big a game you're playing. If you're playing a large game, then you're looking at battalion level.
What edition Flames of War are they on now? Do you know?
Is it 4th or 5th?
Last I knew it was 4th. I just didn't know it was there 5th.
4th, I think.
Still 4th.
Yeah.
That's been out a little bit now.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably due for a change.
So platoon level for me will be new. I'm excited. Bolt action looks so fun. Yeah, it is. It is a good game.
I really love it.
Mm-hmm. I play tactics
148. That's intriguing to me. Yeah. It's its own whole game system, miniatures and everything.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's very, very small. I thought it was like super small scale, like just a handful of guys on a side, I thought. But
okay.
I could be wrong. I remember when it came out. Yeah, blame the dice, Stricker said.
Yeah, that one game when we played, Dan, where I kept rolling, bring my units on, and they refused to come on the table. Yeah. It was like, half my army is sitting there off board.
Was it the one where you had your T-34 or some big tank?
Yeah, it's like I had like 2 squads, and I was like with T-34. It was like they wouldn't come on the table.
Their order dice system is brilliant.
It's like you got to roll a certain number to bring them on, and I was like failing all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's like if you roll it, eventually each turn it got easier to bring stuff on. I kept rolling ones. I was like, what's wrong here?
You were just so scared of my guys.
Well, it's like the game Palmer and I played where I was trying to heal my Tomb Kings. It was like, all I have to do is roll a 10 or less.
You still did okay, though.
And I kept rolling 11s and 12s, and all I needed is a 10. I was like, what's going on?
You almost didn't even need it, though.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I wanted to hit. It's like, hey, I got a few wounded guys. I want to bring them back. I want to fill up my unit completely.
Oh, my.
I look forward to your bolt action discussion. The game has been pulling me. It's like, I played bolt action since first edition. So it is
I started in first edition, very tail end of first edition, my first games.
You can do a section for section. Okay.
My only sad thing is that I bought second edition and never played it. So I have the book, but I never played it. So, and then the question is whether or not I'm going to have to buy army books again for third edition, like very quickly. Or
eventually you will.
But are they using the second edition books for now?
Well, in the new edition book, it does have basic armies in the back.
It's got what you need in the new edition rule, third edition.
So then you don't even need your old books.
The campaign books are still viable.
Yeah.
So you can still use that, but like the bolt action German book, like the Germany book, like the basic Germany book, you don't need it, right? Like.
Yeah, my understanding is that
the army's in the back now.
Okay, so that I bought too. I don't even need it. So it's unfortunate, but it's roll of the dice. Like I didn't. So, in all fairness, I bought it last December, and I still haven't used it, and so I still had, a good 6 to 8 months that I could have tried it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And so, boo-hoo.
It wasn't that expensive.
It's the price of admission, whatever it is.
And other than the German book, that was the only one they released. Second edition was the second edition Armies of Germany. The rest of the books are still all first edition books. Like the US
and I just purchased a new second edition German
more than
Army.
10 years old. The books
I updated my German book, and I never got to use it.
Yeah.
Dang.
Me too. I mean,
mine are about worn out, so I'll be happy to upgrade.
Well, I had the first edition one. Then you told me there's a new second edition one. I didn't realize that, so I bought it, and I never got to use it.
Oh well.
Well, I think not to start a whole other topic, but I'm starting to weigh my purchases in price of pizza, and so you kind of think of like you think of it that way. You just skip a pizza here and there. You probably are fine.
Wait a minute. Are you going to tell me? I'm sorry. I draw the line. You're not taking away my pizza.
Not taking my pizza.
No.
Well, and the nice thing about the bolt action books, they're not terribly expensive, and you really don't have to own all of them. I mean,
You just have to have the one for the army you're
because
playing.
yeah, the one you're playing, and then because the rule book has it has Soviet Union, US, UK, Germany. Can't remember if it has Japanese in the third, because I haven't looked all the way through it, that part of it. So as far as like knowing what you're, granted, when each of their army books comes out, that'll open some new stuff up. But
But
if you're playing it,
on all the units and information for each of the armies.
what's that?
So like it'll have all your stats like on
Yeah.
It'll have everything, but it won't have every single unit. Like when the army book comes out, it's going to add a lot more stuff.
So you won't be able to use all your stuff right away.
Britain, Soviet Union, Japan's in the back.
I think you might be right. I didn't look at the lists in the back. I was mostly looking at the rule changes in the time I had through Harvest at night occasionally, but I think it has. Yeah, I don't think it has every
type of unit.
armored unit you can have for like Germany, and things like that. But it's got the army special rules and enough to play. Okay, Japan is in there. Yeah, I thought it was.
Cool. Well, that's
and then
interesting.
the army books aren't that expensive either, so
Yeah.
I never
you're looking
collected them all.
If you buy it like off eBay or something, it probably costs you about $25.
Yeah, and I just got the ones for the armies I had. I never bought the other ones, even when I played in the tournaments. It was there. I knew enough about them from the rule book too. So
yeah. Cool.
But yeah, anyway.
Well, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think it's that time.
Time for the gathering.
Go rest my throat.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, good to see you guys, and good to have you back again to the season, Dan.
Glad to be back.
Yeah,
and I got some painting done. So
yeah, should be a fun season this year. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we'll be back in 2 weeks over in your channel, Palmer, and you'll pick up the two topics, and which is
the
one
we'll do the tabletop simulator style. We're specifically talking about Warhall for Warhammer Old World, but basically the idea of tabletop simulators online to play games with friends, and then also the other topic will be bolt action version, edition 3. Yeah. Well,
unless you think of another tangent that connects to yours a little bit more, because sometimes
I'm sure we'll always have other discussions.
We always have other discussions.
There will be just to let you know, there will be coming out on Monday. There will be a flip through of the book. So,
oh sweet!
So I have a video coming out on Monday.
Nice, good.
All right, well, good show, guys. Good to see everybody. Good to be back.
All right. Fun. Been real fun.
Thanks for everybody to join in the comments.
Do more exploration into this bolt action.
Now you got 5 armies. I don't know what you're complaining about.
It's not for everybody, but I like it. We'll probably be able to tell you enough about it, Tim, that you'll be able to decide if it's for you or not.
Tim's writing a rule.
I have to get the rule book, and I have to read the book.
Yeah.
Tim's writing a rule set, Bronze Age actions. And that's he's gonna focus on that.
Fair enough.
He's gonna correct me. He's like, actually, Ancients does not consist of that. No. Palmer.
No, I'm not into correcting people.
That's post medieval.
Yeah. All right, so
Knucklehead, how dare you?
Oh, you're talking about we're all a bunch of motorcycles.
Got some baldies. Yeah, motorcycles.
Hey, you make everything positive, right?
Knuckleheads is a great term. It's not used often enough.
Well, no, it's not.
Yeah, that's a classic. That takes me
That's
back. Right. Knuckleheads.
That's a chuckleheads.
That's right.
I do the
That's another one.
No, I've never heard
Laugh it up, you bunch of fuzzballs.
Knuckleheads. I've heard plenty of times.
Fuzzball. Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. All right.
Yep.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.